Hello everyone, can you see me and hear me? Thank you Dharmendra for the confirmation. Thank you Bharat. Thank you Rahul. So good to see you. Thank you Kishore. A lot of known faces here. A lot of people who I've been interacting with. Thank you Arman. Thank you IB. Thank you Fatima. Good, good. This is the first time we're doing an event on Monday, which is just the start of the week. It's 9 p.m. So, how's the energy, folks? How's the energy? How excited are you for the week? On a scale of, if you have to rate yourself, your energy level at this moment on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, what's your energy level at this point of time? Hi, thank you, the main 5. Bharat is 5. Good. That Monday seems to be good. Siva Prakash, good to see you, Sunil 5. A lot of energetic folks. The pressure increases on me and Chris. This is going to be a very interesting topic. Chris will come with a lot of historic background about this topic, and be patient till the end. I'm quite sure that you will take up a lot of key takeaways after the session. So be patient till the end. Don't judge it in the beginning itself. Cool. All of you seems to be super excited. And without further ado, I'll first quickly share about Test Tribe and Chris, and then we'll call Chris on stage. So please confirm if you can see my screen, which should be by now. Can you see my screen? Yes. Sorry, I have to share it again. Just hold on. I have to do the layout change. Screen share mode here. So slides are visible? Yes. Good. So a warm welcome and a formal welcome to all of you on this webinar where we're talking about filtering out bugs at each software layer by leveraging AI. Chris, when he starts, he'll give you a different topic, but in the end, he'll point out to this one thing only. For the sake of simplicity and sake of being easily understandable, we showed this to all the attendees. Now, Chris here is the Director of Quality Assurance at RocketLawyer. I will give his detailed introduction at the end. We're doing this event in collaboration with BrowserStack, who are our annual sponsor for all our conferences, premium sponsor for all our conferences, exclusive sponsor for all our community events. It's due to companies like BrowserStack that we're able to do so many such events at scale consistently. About us, we are the world's largest software testing community turned a tech startup. We started in 2018 with a mission to give testing craft the glory it deserves, which we believe can happen while we co-create smarter, prouder, and more confident testers, and which we believe can only happen when they upskill and care about their growth. And hence, we take pride in solving upskilling and growth through unique offerings for testing professionals like courses, memberships, offline mixers, online community space, and a lot of other things. We have done close to 400 plus software testing events like hackathons, conferences, meetups, etc. And we have a global footprint now. And if I have to sum this up in one line, we intend to provide life-altering growth to every single testing professional on the planet through community and technology. We have an upcoming webinar with Vignesh on Beyond Player Selenium and Cypress. Why Playwright is important for the future of web automation. It's happening this Friday. So we're doing one on Monday, we're doing one on Friday. This is a packed week for you. A lot of scaling on the card. So please feel free to register for this. And my team will do a poll. If you want to carry forward the registration, just say yes, and we'll carry forward the signups for you. Then Final Circle, most of you might have heard about this. This is for testers seeking top growth. We have a lot of offerings here. So again, there's a poll. This is a paid annual membership. If you're keen to know more about this, just say on the poll, and our team will do the needful then. And then this is about the boot camp. Okay. Last thing, we recently did a software testing salary report for testers from India. And this is just a reference illustration for you. So please feel free to grab your copy and see where do you stand and where do you need to go from here on. About Chris, Chris comes, Heemeng Chris Fu is Director of Quality Assurance at RocketLawyer. He's in the industry for more than 20 years, 2 decades, and first as a developer building and leading quality teams. And his experience spans a lot of domains from mobile to telecom to payments to digital agriculture to legal tech, as well as digital media. So somebody who has a lot of experience across diverse domains. And we're fortunate enough to have him with us. and he has built and led teams from various funding rounds, right from pre-series A to series B and series C, and also in MNC. He is an avid traveler. He has traveled the world. He has traveled to India, Gurgaon, Hyderabad, Delhi, and backstage we had a lot of chat on Indian food and everything else. He's a great writer, and I'll keep posting his articles from Medium for all of your reference. So with that, let me just call Chris on stage now. So just give me a minute. I'll now call Chris on stage.
Hello.
Hey,
Can you
Chris,
guys hear me? Testing. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yes, we can hear you.
So most of my profile photos have my glasses on, but I need to take them off because otherwise I can't see anything. So I can't speak Hindi except TK and chalo chalo. You know, hurry up. But
Yeah.
for those of you who speak Tamil, Vanakkam, welcome to this talk. So other than folks from India, where are other folks from? I see Raul, my ex-intern, is here. He's based out of, I think, North Carolina. Anybody from the US here? Anybody from Europe?
US must be celebrating the holiday today, right? The President's Day holiday.
Yeah, it's a holiday, so I don't know if there's anybody from the US. I see a Mark Walker. I don't know if the same
Yes.
Mark Walker I know. And anybody from Spain? If there's anybody from Spain, then Buenos. Hey, that's the same Mark Walker. And anybody from Spain? UK, great. It's the afternoon. I think it's still afternoon for you. Anybody from continental Europe? If there's anybody from Spain, then Buenos tardes.
Yeah.
Buenos tardes. Yes. Okay. Vanakkam. Yes. Great. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Sorry.
Chris, I'll cut you. Chris, I'll just cut you for a second, right? Folks, we should do a virtual applause for Chris because it's 7:30 a.m. for him. It's 7:30 a.m. for him. He's taken so much of his pain to get up early and do the session for all of us. So yeah.
Cool, Nigeria. So I've run meetups before, and what's great is seeing who it is and shaking their hands. Greece, cool. Okay, wow. And getting to know folks and answering their questions. That's what I enjoy most about meetups. But without further ado, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Let me proceed to the talk, and then somebody from Middle East. Great. Okay, great. So let me start presenting. Maybe Ashutosh, you can stop presenting.
Yeah, I've stopped presenting now. It's your screen, Chris.
Great. Got it. Thank you so much. Okay. So because I'm using just a laptop, I can't see your responses when I'm sharing my screen. So Ashutosh, if there's any urgent questions, just stop me and then
Sure. So folks and Chris, the format of the event is that you can use the Q&A tab for the questions. We'll typically take the questions in the end, but if there is a question which stops people's progress for further session, I'll take it right away. Otherwise, we'll take it in the end. That's the format.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So as Ashutosh has mentioned, the title of the talk is a little different from the one that was advertised. So just make sure that you guys don't feel cheated. That is a misrepresentation. So this is the original title of the talk. And for those of you who are wondering about my accent, I'm not from. I live and work in the US for the last 13 years, but I'm originally from Singapore, that crazy rich Asian country. So just to clarify, I'm neither crazy nor rich, but I am Asian. Yeah, so that's the accent. So if you have trouble understanding me, just pose a question or something like that. So this is a talk I gave sometime in November of last year at a test summit in San Francisco. And I intentionally chose this title because for those of you who do not know what the sieve of Aristophanes is, it's a very standard algorithm. Those of you who have done lead code and HackerRank, you'll be very familiar with this because it's one of the standard algorithms that you actually go through an exercise to code. And it's very simple. The whole idea is to be able to obtain a series of primes from a list of numbers, say 1 to 100. You remove the multiples of primes. So, for example, you have a list of numbers 1 to 100. You start with 1, and then 2 is a prime, and then you remove all the multiples of 2. So the next number is 3. That will be a prime, and then you remove all the multiples of 3, and your next number will be 5, and so on and so forth. So that is the algorithm, the sieve of Aristophanes. And I chose this because I wanted it to resonate with folks that may not be familiar with testing and test automation. So a little bit about me. So as Ashutosh has mentioned, I'm Director of Quality at RocketLawyer, and I've been building quality teams for the last 18 years. And the domains he has also mentioned. But I started off as a software engineer in a small little pre-Series A startup of about 7 engineers, and we had no QA. We had to do everything on our own. And one of the things that has always fascinated me is this: why do we have bugs? Okay, I don't know if you are familiar with this series on Discovery called Air Crash Investigation. I know it's very morbid. I hope nobody is flying anytime soon, but it always fascinated me because it seems like it was always a confluence of issues that happened at the same time that caused the crash. And I was always fascinated by the level of expertise the National Transportation and Safety Board has in investigating all these air crashes. But personally, I've always been fascinated about why we have bugs, mainly because I started off as a software engineer writing code. And for those of you who do not know what this image is, it's basically the so-called first bug, and it's at a time where computers were the size of a room, and they had all these things called relays, and a moth actually went in and caused the software to break, and so that has been known as the first ever bug. So why do we have bugs? And I pondered about this quite a fair bit in my career. And one of the things that sort of struck me was you really can't fix quality just by catching bugs. It's just like crime. You can't fix crime just by locking people away. You have to solve the fundamental issues of like homelessness, hopelessness, the inability to get out of the poverty trap. See, if people have no hope and no reason to and no hope to actually get out of poverty, then they have nothing to lose, and then they may just commit crime just to stay in the jail cell where they are fed and it's warm as well, right? So it's the same with quality. You can't fix quality just by catching bugs. So that is the thing that sort of struck me. Now, has there been anything written about this? Well, if you don't have this book, I highly recommend that you get it. It's by 2 folks that I highly respect, Matt Huser and Mike Larson. And this book came out like a year ago or 2 years ago. And I even spoke to Matt. He says that, and suggested to him that he actually talks to the publisher to come up with an Indian economy edition, because I know some of these books can be very expensive in India. So, but I mean, if you can get hold of it, please get. Now, in in this book, there is a section called Toward a Theory of Error. Okay. And the authors list down, all these reasons for bugs to surface. Now, if you were to classify them, what you will notice is that those in red have to do with requirements, and then those that are not in red have to do with how software is being built, right? So what I'm saying is that, why do we have bugs? In order not to have bugs, we need, as a software team, we need correct, precise, and clear requirements. And then on the other side with software development, we need software craftsmanship and engineering excellence. Okay. How many of you have seen this image before? I'm sure a lot of you have seen it and have had a very good laugh, because you understand that, from when the customer explains their requirements to what is actually being built can be very different, right? And what's worse, we design software in a certain way, but how users use them is very, very different, right? So, it's like herding cats, half the time. Okay, now we move on to engineering excellence. So I did write an article, and in fact, if you just Google what is engineering excellence, you will see my article show up. I think it's like the third, fourth result. And what I've listed down is, basically, for an individual engineer, engineering excellence is the pursuit of being excellent in the craft of engineering. Okay, it's a craft. Software engineering is a craft. You never stop learning about it. Okay, being both efficient as well as effective in delivering delight to customers, and in the process delivering pride. Every craftsman has that pride of the product that they are building, and satisfaction from the work and the finished product. It's an endeavor, not an end goal, and it spurs us as engineers to wake up each day just to build better and become better at our craft. So there's a motto, a school motto in Singapore, one of the schools, that says, the best is yet to be. Okay, that is perfection. Perfection is not an end state, but rather a process. So as craftspeople, we have to, every day wake up and ask ourselves, how can we do better? And then from an organizational perspective, engineering excellence is also about how the organization or the company identifies roadblocks or obstacles that impede engineers from doing their best work, and the measures that can be put in place to assist and encourage them to be excellent and strive for excellence. So things like awards or rewards for good software, good code, defect-free code, and so on. Those actually help a lot in the process. So because I gave this talk in November, which and before the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, I actually suggested to the audience to watch some of these movies or series. So Jiro Dreams of Sushi is a classic, and it's just amazing. So he's actually a sushi chef. I think he's a sushi chef. I think he has passed away, but you just watch him every day. He wakes up like, how can I make the best sushi ever? Okay, that is the spirit of craftsmanship. And Chef's Table is on Netflix, and it also covers these. It talks about these chefs, and you can see the passion that they have for producing quality food. And this other series on YouTube called The Repair Shop. This is from I remember there's somebody in from the UK, so you will be familiar with this series. I think it's on BBC, and it's just that sheer passion that they have for delighting the customer or delighting the person who brings in this artifact to renew, to make it as good as new. It's so amazing, and the level of professionalism that they have. as well. Okay, so most of you, I believe, are from quality, test engineer, quality engineer, QA. And then you must be wondering by now, is like, hey, wait, hold on. I have no control over the requirements and engineering process. What do I do? Right? And you also know, and I'm sure you've experienced that finger pointing is not very productive. Right? So here comes, we come back to the sieve, and the whole idea behind the sieve is that you obtain good code by removing bad code or the possibility of bad code. See the correlation between this and the sieve of Aristophanes. So you not just remove bad code, but also remove the possibility of bad code. So remember that in the beginning, in my first slide, I showed this image, right? And this is why I showed the image. Now, another way of looking at it is to look at it as a series of filters. So how do you filter water to get drinkable water, right? So you start from big rocks, so that one will catch all the big pieces of rubbish, and then gradually decrease the size of the rocks and the stones, and then finally you have sand. So that's the whole idea behind the sieve or the set of filters. So in my article, I propose a list of filters, and because for the interest of time, I'm not going to cover every single topic, but I will cover these few topics. Okay, these few filters. So the first one is test planning. I cannot emphasize, I cannot say how important it is. It is very, very important to have test planning, because as QAs or quality engineers, how many times have you seen bugs arise because, number one, the developer misunderstood what was supposed to be built? Happens all the time. Product managers did not specify clearly what was supposed to be built, right? Now, as QAs or quality engineers, we can't control the requirements process, but we can control the test planning process and when the test plan review happens. So as early as possible, preferably when, like maybe 1 sprint, 2 sprints after the requirements is out and the high level design is out, do the test plan and have the test plan review with the major stakeholders, the product manager, the dev lead, have it as soon as possible. Because early specification and review of test cases, to be honest, is the spirit of test-driven development. So I'm not religious about how we implement test-driven development, because I feel that is very that's kind of a waste of time. So test-driven development basically means you have the tests specified upfront so that the developer knows what they are building against. Okay. Now, this whole idea of early test planning and review is more critical in complex multi-team projects. Why? Because I've seen this happen multiple times. When you have a test plan, and then especially when folks like us who are in the quality space, right? When we look at this requirements, in order to come up with the test plan, we always have like questions. Hey, when you say press this button, what's supposed to happen again? Or when you say this in the requirements document, what exactly do you mean by that, right? And it forces the question to the product manager, that to answer those questions, and it basically removes all the ambiguity for the developers as much, and this really provides a lot of value to the developers as well. So in complex multi-team projects, right, is even more critical because it is sometimes not clear what exactly needs to be delivered by each consumer-producer pair. How many times have you been in those conversations? Maybe it's a bug or whatever. It's like, oh, I thought this API call was supposed to return this field, or this field was supposed to be an integer, not a string, but you're giving me a string. Those kind of things. happens all the time. So if these things can be specified really early, then these conversations will not even have to happen. In fact, one of the projects, one of my quality engineers actually came up with the Postman collection upfront, even though the endpoints were not even developed yet, because he said, okay, this is what I expect it to be, and that was what the consumer of the API was going to use. And then the producer of the API said, well, hold on, that's not what I expected, and that was great because he hadn't built it yet, and that's resolved the ambiguity. So this whole idea of having it specified is actually in the spirit of contract-based testing, for those of you who are aware of what that is. Now, static code analysis, unit tests, and code reviews. So this is one thing that I don't think a lot of people know. They actually work in concert. Okay, why? Static code analysis provides input to unit tests. Okay, especially for measures like cyclomatic or cognitive complexity, and also provides input to code reviews. Why? Because you have your code smells, your OWASP top 10 rip patterns, and all that kind of stuff. And unit tests provides input to code reviews. Why? Because unit tests best documents code. How many of you have had the experience of documentation being obsolete, right? It just takes one sprint, right, for the documentation to be obsolete. But, and this is something that one of my my colleagues long time ago told me. He was very experienced. He said, the source of truth is always the code. Because you can have documentation all you want, but it might not be correct, right? So unit tests actually best documents code. Why? Because if the test passed, then it's valid. And unit tests can document the assumptions and the behavior of the code, right? So that's a unit test. Now, code reviews could enhance unit tests. Why? Because one of the code review feedback could be that, okay, certain tests should be added, right? Because, there's not enough coverage for this particular piece of code. So unit tests and code reviews to some extent are like bubble wrap for your code. And oh yes, now I remember what I wanted to say about this. So the standard thing that I tell folks, especially developers, about code reviews and unit tests is this. When I tell them to remember this when they're doing code reviews. Imagine it's Saturday night. It's 3 a.m. You get paged for a P0 incident. Okay, and then you go in and look at the code, and then you see, the last pull request was by this guy who is already on a plane to the Amazon rainforest. So he's not going to be contactable for the next week. So what are you going to do, right? And you have no idea what he wrote because it doesn't make sense. So if you have unit tests that documents the code and you do the code reviews properly and you understand what he's writing when you were doing the code review, then you will not be faced with a nightmare scenario like that. Okay, end-to-end tests. Now, here's the deal, okay? I know as QAs or quality engineers, we focus a lot on end-to-end tests. But if a company's tests are mostly end-to-end tests, those of you who know what a test pyramid is, it's an inverted test pyramid, right? That's a sure sign of engineering immaturity. Okay, that's number one. Now, the second thing is going to sound very controversial, but to me, end-to-end test coverage metrics are bunk. Why? Because what's the process that we go through to create end-to-end test cases? We take the product requirements and then we generate the test cases and then we generate automated tests, right? Now, unlike code coverage, those of you who are familiar with branch coverage, there is actual theoretical graph theory foundations behind branch coverage, okay? But there is no such theoretical foundations behind how we create test cases from product requirements, unless we use formal methods. Okay, so you can't prove completeness with that. And the other problem is all test cases are treated with the same level of importance. Okay, and that's not true, right? You know that say for example, the CEO always likes to do this particular thing in the product, right? And so that one becomes very important, right? Because you don't want to get fired. That's for sure. So the next point is, have you ever filed a bug and have devs say, "Oh, that's an edge case. Nobody's using it," right? Okay, so just remember these points, because later on I will show a tool that actually is able to address some of these things. Okay, synthetic monitoring. If you don't have it as part of your quality strategy, you should really look into it. Why? Because it makes post deploy sanity testing a lot easier. And I call it the Iron Dome of your product quality. So for those of you who do not know what Iron Dome is the Israeli anti-missile shield that they use, and it's actually more effective than the Patriot anti-missile system. Now, one problem is that with synthetic monitoring tools is that you have one set of tests for end-to-end, another set for monitoring. So there's this company called Checkly. They use Playwright as the language. So for you to convert your end-to-end tests to synthetic monitor, it's not as challenging. Okay. Another problem is small changes in your DOM tree could cause synthetic monitors to break. So I will talk a little bit about how one ways to address this can be solved. Okay. Any questions so far? Because I'm going to this part of the talk. Going once, going twice. Okay, so I added this section because nowadays, if you don't talk anything about AI, your talk will not even be entertained. So I added this little section. So what I'll do is I will shift gears a little bit, because I will show a few demos, and these are the ones. So the first one is getting requirements right. So using ChatGPT in requirements engineering, and then this tool called Autify Genesis PRD to test. Basically, helps you to get the PRD to test automation, and then a more meaningful end-to-end test coverage approach by this company called Context QA. And I will come back to this thing about zero step in a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little fast because I don't see a need to. Okay. Can you guys see? I changed the screen now. It looks like a Gen AI demo prompts. You guys can see? I changed the screen. Going once, going twice. Okay.
Yeah, this is a Word document, Chris. We can see it. Yeah.
You see? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is essentially a PRD. Okay. Hopefully it loads. Nope. Okay. Looks like the demo gods are not looking at me favorably. Let me reload. Apologies for the. Okay. So this is the original talk, but I will just skip to the important. Okay. So this is the PRD. Okay. And what you can do is, for those of you who haven't played around with ChatGPT, is you can actually create it as a prompt. And yes, and then it will generate the scenarios for you. Okay. So you can generate high-level scenarios and so on. So this is a very naive way of creating the scenarios. Now, the next one that I'm going to show you is a bit more advanced, because what this company Autify have done is they have created a tool that makes it a lot easier. Okay, let me reload again so that we don't have any issues. Okay. So what you will see is this is the PRD that's written in Markdown. So it's essentially an e-commerce product. And what you do is you upload the PRD. And then generate the scenarios. So as with things like Copilot, right, you actually have to review the generated cases, right? Because you don't really trust the AI to be perfect. But it saves you easily 40% of the time. Now, the other thing that it does is it generates the gherkin as well. So it makes it a lot easier for people to understand what exactly is the requirement. And it generates playwright code from the gherkin. Okay, so this is Autify Genesis. The next tool that I wanted to show you is Context QA. So remember I talked about the end-to-end test and the fact that you do not know which flows are more important than others, and then your developer might say, "Hey, no user is going to go and touch that." So what they have done is, long story short, so you basically using what you do is you add a JavaScript onto your UI so that Context QA is able to collect your click stream, and then from the click stream of your users, it will generate what they call a knowledge graph. Okay, and so you can zoom in and you can better understand how your users are actually using your product. Okay, and then from there, it's able to generate the test cases. So you see step 1, step 2, for loop, blah blah blah, and then if you click on the button, the create test case button, right? Then it generates the code on their platform for you to run your flows as well. So another interesting tool to check out if you haven't you're not aware about them. So the name is Context QA, and they have a YouTube site. So that's, I think the only one that I've not talked about is Zero Step. So Zero Step, for those of you who do not know, let me see if I have it somewhere. No, there you go. So this is Zero Step. So if you are using Playwright, you can actually specify in language like, okay, verify that this the calendar is displayed, blah blah blah. So you avoid issues that have to do with when the DOM tree has changed, or your developers change the CSS selector and so on and so forth, and it makes it a little bit more robust. So we have come to the end of my talk. And I'm going to, we come to the end of my talk. Any questions? I see a bunch of questions.
Yes, Chris, we have a lot of questions, so I'll remove this.
I'll stop the screen share.
Yeah, you can just stop the screen share. So I'll ask the questions on your behalf, on people's behalf. Okay. So for the first question is from Bharat. Okay, I'll just show this on the stream. which is about how do you handle false positives in synthetic monitoring to avoid unnecessary alerts?
That is a very, very good question. So what you do is you actually have to baseline your synthetic monitoring test. So usually what I do is I tell my team to actually run it over the weekend and have it alert to themselves, right? Just to make sure that you don't cry wolf, and then let it run. But you should also baseline it so you understand that it's not due to some a false alarm. Now there are situations where especially with third parties, right, external parties, where you're monitoring, and they could possibly break. Because they have maintenance periods as well. So you, some at least the synthetic monitoring tool that we use, called Catchpoint, has ability for you to specify maintenance windows. So if you have that understanding from the external partner that you're integrating with, that they always have a maintenance window from like midnight to 3 a.m. every night, then you just specify the maintenance window as that so that you don't get alerted for that. But the other way is just to make sure that you have a SOP or the run book for that particular synthetic monitor, right? To say that, okay, if this happens, just rerun the test for a short time to see if it's reproducible, or they could possibly be or contact this person if the test fails, just to check that if there's a maintenance going on for that third party. Did I answer the question? I'm not sure if that's the case. Did I have answered the question well? We can't hear Ashutosh. You're muted.
Yeah, so Bharat, Bharat says thank you. So I think it's more or less answered. Yeah, so we can go ahead to the next question. This is from Guru Nagpur. I'll just share this on stream again. How can we achieve production synthetic tests for critical systems where test data is in production is a limitation? Example, banking and financial domains.
Yeah. So this one is very tricky, right? When you're dealing with real money. So that one you will have to work with the product team to see if you are able to create test accounts, because the problem is then your metrics will mess up. The finance people will be like, no, we can't do that and all that kind of stuff. So you will have to work with them to create some of these test accounts where the money is just basically it's a left hand giving to a right hand kind of situation, and they have to be okay with that. Now, if they are not okay with that and you can't do it right, then you just have to manage management's expectations that we can't monitor this from an end-to-end perspective. Then the next question is, can we monitor issues from logs? Right? So there are a lot of these, like your Splunk, Sumo Logic, and other tools that allow you to trigger issues based on logs. So you have to figure out, like, okay, what is the signature for issues that have to do with, and it's usually what exceptions and all that kind of stuff, right? So get those monitoring in place so that you can catch it if you can't catch it using a full end-to-end synthetic monitor. I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah, so I think Guru can mention in the chat. Then this is a question from Jacob.
Yeah.
Which is why end-to-end tests are a sign of immaturity.
No, I didn't say that. Yes, I didn't say that end-to-end test is a sign of immaturity. I'm saying that if you have an inverted test pyramid, it is a sign of immaturity. That means you have more end-to-end tests than you have unit tests, because it means that the engineers are not writing tests, which is not a good sign, because then it means that they don't understand their own code. And remember, I talked about how unit tests and code reviews work together, right? It becomes a self-influencing loop, right? Engineers have to understand their code. It's, otherwise there's no amount of testing that can solve the quality problem. Okay, and unit tests are a very big piece of that foundation engineering maturity and engineering excellence component of any engineering organization. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, Jacob, you can type in the chat if you have any follow-up questions here. The next question is from Bharat, you answered. This is a question from an anonymous user, which is about when should you prioritize static code analysis over unit tests or code reviews?
Okay, at the end of the day, business objectives.
This is Bharat's question, yeah.
Yeah, business objectives. Can you show the question again so that I can make sure?
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Just because I see request feedback.
Wait a minute. I'll remove this from the stream right now, and I'll show the question. Share on stream. Share. Yeah.
Yes. So the key thing is you need to the prioritization is all about business objectives. So it may make sense in the beginning to put a lot of end-to-end tests and a lot of synthetic monitors in place just to stabilize the system, right? But at some point, you will need to work with, and this is actually the role of the VP of engineering or the CTO, have that conversation and maybe show them the engineering excellence document, the article that I wrote, because you can't fix quality just by catching bugs, right? You need to solve it at the very heart, and one of that is engineering maturity and engineering excellence. And once they understand that is the key thing, then static code analysis and unit tests and code reviews will come into play. Now, how would you prioritize? Now, the thing is, static code analysis is fairly straightforward to implement. You just get something like Sonar Cloud or Sonar Cube, and just hook up to your repositories, and you get, straight away you get static code analysis, right? Without a whole lot of cost, and then you can start looking at it and say, oh, why is this function like this? Why is it treated as a bug? And those questions will force conversations that need to happen with regards to engineering maturity. So it's not that it's more important or less important. It's just that it's fairly easy to implement, because you don't have to write any piece of code. Unit tests, you need to write code. Code reviews, you need to implement a process. But static code analysis is not something that you have to do a lot. You just hook it up and then you can see data. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think Bharat can mention in the chat if there's any follow-up questions. And this is the last question for the day, Chris. This is from Guru again. Thanks for showing the products. The biggest challenge most of the teams face is the test data in different testing environments. How can your AI products ensure that it will? So this is, first of all, this is not Chris's AI products. Chris has mentioned a few AI products here. This is not his AI product. This is not a product webinar. This is a knowledge webinar. He just mentioned a few products here and there. So how can AI product? I'll rephrase this question. How can AI product ensure that it will across the environments, especially if I want to replay the prod environment traffic in the lower environments? That's the question which Guru has.
Yeah, that's so basically, Guru, what you're asking is, how do I replay, whether it's AI or not, right? You want to be able to replay certain scenarios for what you're seeing in production, correct? So there are tools that help you anonymize the data. So they take a database table and they will say, okay, how many % of the data do you want to create test data from? And they will be able to, I can't remember the names of these tools offhand, but there are these tools where you're able to extract it out, and they will analyze the distribution of the data, and they will be able to create an anonymized version. Sorry, it's early in the morning. An anonymized version of the table for you. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. So Guru, if you have any follow-up questions, please mention in the chat. I'll be happy to take it. Hey folks, any other questions? We have answered all the questions. We hope you liked this quick capsule of knowledge from Chris, which started with more philosophical background to quality and then going into the most recent developments of AI. Yeah. Please show your reactions virtually through the emojis on how did you like the session. And
Just one more thing, Ashutosh. I hope you don't mind me interrupting you. So if you're interested, I'm easily found on LinkedIn. So just search for me, Heemeng. I know you introduced me as Chris. The reason why I go by Heemeng here is because in this part of the world, you can go to a crowd and just throw a stone and you hit a Chris. There's so many Chris's and Johns and Scotts, right? But if you search for Heemeng, one word, you will most likely find me on LinkedIn, and just send me a LinkedIn invite. And I regularly post notifications about articles that I write.
Yeah, our team has put Heemeng's LinkedIn profile on the chat. It's pinned, so please feel free to connect with him. Me and Chris got connected because I wanted to host him in San Francisco meetup, which we're doing this month, but the location didn't work out. So I thought, considering his knowledge, why don't he comes on an online session? And I think all of you got benefited through this. The feedback says so. Please do share your feedback. This is very important for us to keep improving, to keep getting better and things we do. And I hope this will also be relevant for Chris and Heemeng in general. So with that, thank you, Chris, so much for doing this, especially early morning on a holiday in the US, right? So thank you so much for doing this, and to all the attendees, thank you for taking time out on a Monday afternoon, night, evening for this session. Speaks volumes about your commitment to learning. Yeah. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.